everyone, Stephen Harold here, and welcome to the channel. I'll be discussing horror movies for you guys in a very blunt way. In this video, I'm going to be giving you guys my review for Jaws 2, which was released in 1978. Universal Studios greenlit a sequel 3 years later, but sadly could not get Steven Spielberg back in the directing chair, but managed to get Roy Scheider back as Chief Brody, under some, shady ways. Now, it's heavily regarded that the Jaws franchise shouldn't have been a franchise at all. In fact, Jaws should have just been a standalone film, but we still have the three sequels, and we start with this one. So here's my review for Jaws 2. For the story of this film, we follow Chief Brody as he is still the chief of police in Amity Island, and he is still kind of suffering from PTSD after the events of Jaws. Now, of course, another shark just turns up on the ocean line and is up to Brody to stop him, but will anyone believe him? Well, because, how could it happen twice? Well, it does, and it's up to him to stop it. Now, for the story of this film, this is where it becomes very obvious that they wanted to strike lightning twice with the same story. Now, the only issue is you have to do a little bit something different. Of course, the only differences in this film are going to be touched up when it comes to the characters of this film. But other than that, the story, it's kind of like a rehash of the very first film. We see a threat in the ocean. Our chief is the one that has to stop the threat. And then eventually, the threat is stopped. It's a kind of a copy and paste story, but I guess at that time, 3 years after the release of Jaws, it's like, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So that's where the story kind of has the middle ground of being, it's a good story, to, it's not that special. But other than that, the story just kind of fits the film. Roy Scheider returns in this film as Chief Brody. He is dealing with the PTSD of what happened of the events of Jaws. He's much more secured when it comes to the water and his family, and having to make sure everything is safe. And when he finds out about another shark attack, he goes fucking on a ballistic rampage. I mean, like, he poisons bullets and starts shooting at the ocean because he thinks he sees a shark, which ultimately gets him fired. But then he finds out that, there are a bunch of kids in the ocean, including his sons, and he has to go and save them. Now, the only reason why Roy Scheider returned for this film was because he had wanted out of his Universal contract, and in order for that to happen, he needed to do Jaws 2. Once he finally did it, he was out of it. He was off that contract, and he has soured on this film. He has stated multiple times he didn't feel the need to do Jaws 2 because there was no need for a sequel, especially the fact that Quint's actor Robert Shaw was not around anymore, and Richard Dreyfuss couldn't return. So he was the only returning actor alongside, his wife, who played Mrs. Brody, and the mayor, who is a scumbag. Just those kind of characters. Even his deputy kind of returned, right? But other than that, it was a kind of a tough shoot for him. But for what he does, it's kind of a copy and paste of what he did in the first film with higher stakes. So he does play it very well. Now, like I mentioned about the other three characters, or the other two characters, Richard Dreyfuss's Hopper was not in this film. They do a passing mention about him not being in this film. Quint was killed at the end of Jaws, so there was no way for Robert Shaw to return, right? But sadly, Robert Shaw had passed away, so there was no way he was even returning anyways. But as for what we got in these other characters, I mean, like I said, we got the scumbag mayor of this town who, just doesn't want to fucking even bother with these sharks again. But in a deleted scene, it shows that when they were voting to fire him, he's the only one who says not to fire him. So it's like there is some humanity in him. But other than that, the characters we mainly focus on are the teenagers who have this massive obsession of fucking sailing all the damn time. One of those characters happens to be be the same actor who played Arnie Cunningham in John Carpenter's Christine. Now, the issue about this film is that we've paid too much attention to these characters, but don't really know much about them at all. So these characters are only in this movie for a body count for the shark to eat, but a lot of them stay alive in this film. So why are we focusing on so many characters if all of them are going to practically survive? Of course, the antagonist is yet again another shark. Now, this shark does look a little bit cooler, because, I mean, in one of the scenes where he kills someone, he is burned on the side of its face, and it looks fucking cool. It, like, gives him this gnarly two-faced look. But the shark, again, still looks fake and phony and just hokey, but at least it looks a little bit better. You know, I could assume that maybe they had great time filming with this one, at least not like they did with the first one. But other than that, the shark, you know, it is what it is. Like, this is why this franchise is so hard for me to fucking review, especially when it comes to the antagonist of the film. It's a killer shark. There's not much else I can say. It's just, yeah, it looks good with the burn. You know, it swims here, swims there. That's it. I don't know if you were looking into a more in-depth thing, but I will say, remember, sharks don't take things personally. I will see you guys on the review for Jaws: The Revenge later. For the gore and the kills of this film, it's kind of a little bit somewhat tamed. There's a few good scenes where, you know, you see someone get bit and then dragged to a boat, or they just get swallowed up. One of the popular scenes I basically got to watch was where the helicopter comes to rescue him and the shark just comes up and fucking just takes down that helicopter. Sure, okay. But other than that, like, the gore and the kills of this film, it's kind of okay. I mean, like, this is 1978 we're talking here. I mean, like, that very same year, Halloween came out. And, you know, there was not much gore and kills in that one either. But for this sequel, it's like, they're all right. Now, if you guys remember my first review on the first film, Jaws, I said that it kind of dragged from the beginning to the middle point, and until we got to see Hopper, Quint, and Brody on the boat, that's when I started getting more invested in the film. This film is the polar opposite. It kind of drags in the beginning, but the paranoia of Brody kind of increases, and it's like, yeah, okay, it's not bad, it's getting there. It's when the boats all collide with each other after the shark attack happens, and then another shark attack happens, and Brody is just on this police boat trying to find them. This is where the movie finally drags, because it's like, okay, we're spending too much time with these characters that are, you know, subsequently making a boat raft, and we're waiting for them. And we're waiting for Brody to save them. And it's like, okay, this is kind of dragging a little too long. I could probably understand where people will say, well, of course they're boating, you know, it's going to take a while to get to somewhere. It's like, yeah, but did we really need to fucking see it? At this rate, I was hoping, like, I was expecting them to fucking do a night and day transition. It's like, it takes a whole fucking day to get there. I was expecting it, but it never fucking happens. It's one of the biggest kind of turnoffs for this film for me, because I ended up finding myself during this sequence of Brody trying to find these boats is literally like okay, like, I'm getting bored. And it's like, yeah, I think there's a reason why I stayed away from this franchise. In the climax of the film, the shark is killed not by an explosion, but by electrocution, which causes the thing to catch on fire. It's a very unique kind of kill. It's like, okay, at least they didn't do the same thing they did before and just blow the fucking shark up. But this death scene was actually pretty cool. I was like, oh, fuck, okay. He uses the boat oar to bang on this big underwater wire, and the vibrations triggers the shark's attention, and he's just holding it up, and it's just waiting for this thing to come and take a chomp at it. But it's kind of the same thing as the whole smile you son of a bang blow up. It's just he says open wide and just lets him fucking eat it. But other than that, still a pretty good death scene for a shark. When in preparation for watching this franchise, I said, I thought Jaws was overrated. And I thought, well, now that I finally got over Jaws, it's time to watch the sequels. And I knew I had to watch Jaws 2, thinking that I was going to be thoroughly entertained. But like I said, this movie started to drag on me for a bit. It's like I'm seeing the same thing happen. I know this is kind of like a hypocritical thing for me to say, where it's just like, well, you've watched how many Friday the 13th movies in your life, and half of them are the same thing. It's like, yes, but at least I'm entertained because Jason is chasing people through the woods, through Camp Crystal Lake or fucking New York at this rate. This is a film about a shark, and we already know that the shark just eats people. That's all we're waiting for. We're just waiting for a shark to eat people. We're not waiting for a machete to the head or a party horn through the eye or someone getting bent backwards. We're not seeing that. It's the same thing over and over again. And we're only in the second film out of 4. So when it comes to this sequel, it's like, I can see why Universal Studios wanted to have a sequel to get more money back, even though the first film was made for $9 million and grossed almost $500 million. Like, why do you need so much money? But what do you expect? Other than that, I just felt like this film is just like, yeah, I understand why they had to make a sequel, but I don't think it was necessary at all. So, for my review, or for my rating, I'm going to give Jaws 2 a 5 out of 10. So tell me, guys, what did you think of Jaws 2? Let me know in the comments down below. If you liked the video, make sure you hit the thumbs up and subscribe for more content. And don't forget to hit that bell notification so you can get notified about all the other videos coming out on the channel, especially in regards to the Jaws franchise. Anyways, that's it for me. This is Stephen Harold. I will talk to you guys later in the next review, which will be looking at Saw 3D. Take care and stay spooky.